Alrighty, and we're on.
Sweet.
So I'm here with Tony Tran today.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
No, brother, all good, all good. So Tony and I, we know each other through Jiu Jitsu, as I know plenty of people through Jiu Jitsu, and you no doubt have plenty of friends through Jiu Jitsu as well. But
100%.
well, I guess why I thought it'd be interesting to grab Tony on the podcast is because we were talking about, as you do in between roles, you have like little conversations and you get little snippets about, what people do and things like that. And I found it obviously that you were a police officer.
Yep, that's correct.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, when people look at you, they probably wouldn't think cop is the first thing.
No. Everyone's like, oh, you're basically joking, right? You don't look like a cop.
Yeah.
The way I act, the way how I talk,
Yeah.
just like the boys,
You can turn around and like face me more if that's going to be easier so you're not cricking your neck.
Yeah.
And I guess, obviously you're out of the police force now. We'll talk about that because I think that's a pretty important part of the story, right? But to sort of bring it back for people, what was life like for you growing up? So I guess when you were young, what are some of your earliest memories?
Life pretty young. Wasn't that great, to be honest. I had good parents, but there was a lot of problems in the house, like domestics. My brother was into drugs.
Oh, wow.
Other brother got into gang-related activities.
So wait, how many siblings were you? Did you have?
I'm the third sibling, so we got 3. I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest. Yeah. And so then for you, what's the age gap?
Probably 10 years age gap.
Oh, so your oldest is 10 years older?
My oldest is actually 15.
15 years.
Yeah.
And then 10 years for the next one.
Yes.
And then you're like the baby in comparison.
Yeah,
then.
probably the mistake.
Blessing. Your parents will say it's a blessing.
Yeah. I'll say so, yeah.
Yeah. So then for you, right, like, yeah, that's a big age gap, right? Because then when you're 5, your middle brother's 15, doing 15-year-old things.
Yeah.
And the other one's 20, doing 20-year-old things.
Yep.
And here you are, this 5-year-old, probably wanting to do the same things.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, what are some of your earliest memories at home?
Memories at home.
Well, what would you do? Were you playing? So, okay, to give you some time to think, right? I have this memory of, we used to have this German Shepherd.
Yep.
And my parents, I think it's probably a common thing with a lot of migrant families. It's like when they come to Australia and, they might have like their little group of migrant friends.
Yep.
And so like every year there'd be like a big Christmas party kind of a thing.
Yep.
And like, all their friends or families like would come over
to
somebody's
we have
house,
something
right?
similar, yeah.
And do something like that. So I have this memory of one year, we had this German Shepherd. And my mum had like made all these or gotten all these buns ready, and they're sitting on the table. And our dog was pretty smart. Like he could jump up and use his nose to like flick the screen door and to open the door. And then he came in anyway, and we didn't we had a sliding door on that one, but we obviously left it open, and he's like grabbed a bun and he's run out. Obviously, my mum was like,
"Oh, I've got one for you." Yeah, so. Yeah, like you said, Asian families, every year we get together, like New Year's, like all what we call dirt.
Yeah.
And we just have a bunch of food on the table. The kids will come over. We get leasee, so pocket money for the New Year's. And I remember me and my cousin were just playing around. I was running, and then he was chasing me. I stacked it, and I smashed my face on the ground. All my front tooth was gone.
Really?
And then my oldest brother, who's now passed away, grabbed me. He's like, "Oh, what's going on?" Took me to hospital and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how old were you?
Well, I was probably 8 years old.
So then your front teeth, are they?
My front 2 teeth, yeah, they were still baby teeth.
Oh, they're still baby teeth at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're lucky then.
Yeah, so lucky.
Yeah. So even then they got smashed out. You still had 2 more.
Then my mum comes running out. "What's going on? Who did this?"
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I did it.
Yeah, you fell over.
It's being stupid, yeah.
So then, what was your relationship like with your 2 older brothers? Because it's a big gap, right?
Yeah, it's a big gap. But I was really good with my oldest brother. So I used to hang around with him every day. He would take me Macca's, play equipment, or play sports, basketball, the basketball court.
Yep.
But he's obviously passed away. So at quite a young age, I was like 12 when he passed.
Wow. And what happened?
He was into heroin.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, heroin overdose. Yeah.
Wow. And did you when you're 12, did you really understand what was going on? Like, could you see like a change in him, or like was he always into it when as long as?
Oh yeah. I'll know when he's on it, when he's off it. So when he's on it, it's like very nice, and you get to know him. And then when he's off it, or he's hanging for his next hit, or he's got no money, he'll get really angry.
Wow.
Yeah, with like the parents and start fights and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, because obviously when you're that young, you probably don't really quite understand it, right? Or did you really understand what was going on, or?
No, I just couldn't like process what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I see a lot of negativity
Yep.
around, but didn't really know how to process.
Yeah. And then, so how, like, that would have been pretty hard on your parents, right?
Yeah. A lot of my mum actually, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think my dad just gave up at that point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, your mum obviously, you know, would try and help him, or how would she try and?
Yeah, we tried to help him. She was into rehab, and she'll obviously give him money and stuff to obviously give him his next hit, or cigarettes, what he used to say. Oh, I need money for cigarettes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then, was there a change in your parents when he passed?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. My mum copped depression, so she's on pills for that. Dad's pretty quiet now, so doesn't really talk.
Doesn't really talk about it.
Yeah.
And then, and so then, what about your relationship with your middle brother? Like, what was that like?
Not good. So I didn't really see him much for most of my childhood.
Yeah.
Because he got into gangs and stuff, and he left the house.
Yep.
So my dad kicked him out of the house.
Oh, wow. Was he like bring that sort of stuff home, or and that's why your dad had to say, "Hey, get out"? Or
I think they had an argument, or he was getting heaps of tattoos and all that. Yeah, I've got tattoos myself because of him. Yeah,
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 because of him.
Yeah, I always see his tattoos. Oh, bro, this looks sick.
Yeah,
I want something like that.
Yeah,
I'm actually getting more next week. So
oh wow, there you go. So then, what was it like for you at school? What kind of a kid were you? And
I didn't really care much about anything.
Yeah,
I was really good until probably year 9, year 10.
Yep.
I started hanging around the wrong crowd. Didn't really care about school. Didn't see what was the point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then, how does that then become something where you decide, okay, I want to be a cop? Like, when does that come into the picture?
Probably soon after, probably year 10 or year 11, where I was just reflecting, what the hell am I doing? Because you're getting to the point where you got to choose a career and see what you want to do. And then I was like, oh, there used to be always cops at my house.
Oh, because of your brother?
Yeah, because of my brother and heaps of domestics.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they seem to always solve everything, you know? And I was like, oh, yeah, I want to do this. I want to stop crime, stop domestics.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I want to be a cop.
Yeah.
That was it. Told my dad, and he's like, why the hell would you want to do that? Are you stupid? Gave me a smack in the face.
Really?
Yeah. He's like, too dangerous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, nah, I want to do this.
I feel like, that's probably a common thing for Asian parents, right? Like when it's like, unless you want to be like a doctor or a lawyer, they're the safe professions.
Yeah. That was according to them. They wanted me to be a doctor.
Yep.
So they put me in math tutoring, Vietnamese school, everything.
Yeah. But and then academically, like, what would your report card say about you?
Oh, terrible. Probably like, I was really good at maths at one stage, and then I started falling off, dropped from advanced to standard. Yeah. And then all my grades were like C's, whatever, or just pass.
And I guess, when you make this choice that, okay, you when you're thinking about career choices and things like that, were you hanging with the wrong people at that point in time? Like, did you have to make some changes around the people that you hung out with and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. I had a group of friends. I was the only Asian. It was like mostly Lebos and Arabs. It was just jigging school. Yeah. Maybe smoke here and there. Yeah. But yeah, just heaps of jigging school, eh? Yeah. Yeah.
So then, what was the process then? Like, you decide you want to be a cop. Did you look much into it, or?
Yeah, I did. I looked at the application process, and at that time you needed a degree in policing or something related to the criminology field to rank you in the eligibility pool. So, because I didn't get an ATAR because I was a dumbass, I couldn't get into uni straight away. Yeah. So I had to do a certificate 4 in fitness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you went to TAFE and...
Yeah, I was into like training and all that.
Yeah.
Weightlifting. Yeah. Yeah, I was a really skinny kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, well, I guess, how was that experience, doing your certificate 4? Like, what... Did you find the teaching at TAFE different to, obviously, high school?
Yeah. They explained things a lot better, and I think I was really interested in the subject, so I put my head down and actually studied. Yeah. And passed with like HDs and all that. So
so you actually did really well. And
really well if I put my mind to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so then what happens after you get your Cert 4 in fitness?
I did PT for a bit and just working behind the desk at the gym. So Anytime Fitness, Miller Minto. That's probably the best job I ever had.
Why's that?
Yeah. Oh no, the good crew.
Yeah.
And you work on your own accord. Yeah, just everything's nice.
Yeah. And Miller and Minto, like obviously those areas, they don't really get a great rap, right?
Yeah, no, that's the worst areas. Yeah. Yeah, but the junkies can't afford memberships, so.
Yeah. So as long as you're inside, you're safe.
Yeah. People that actually take care of themselves, like they're pretty nice people. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. And so I gotta ask this, right? So when you decide to become a cop, and so you got your Cert 4, did that allow you that? What did you have to do next to try and get?
I did a degree in policing. I didn't finish the degree because they changed the application process.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you didn't need a degree anymore. You just had to do a workforce certificate course.
Yep.
Which is like a few months.
Yep.
Then you can apply for the police force.
Oh, so okay, so you started the degree.
Started the degree probably 2 years in, and then I dropped out of it, did the course, and got into the cops.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, what was the process like, especially like if you've got your middle brother,
Yeah.
into nefarious
activities. Middle brother and the older brother, as well. Yeah, it was a gruesome process. I had to do a few extra interviews with the head bosses, so that it's like a panel interview. So I had my regular interview, and then the boss would interview you separately. Yeah, just asking your history, why you want to join. But I was clean. I was a good boy. So,
and then like. Well, I guess, for your brother, like, doesn't that strain the relationship? It's like, oh, hang on, now you're the enemy kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah, we've always been enemies, but I think when he saw my policing textbooks and notes and all that, I think that really pissed him off at one stage, and he tried to start a fight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what happened?
Oh, we probably got into a bit of a scuffle.
Yeah. Who won?
I think I won.
You won?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you already training back then, or?
Yeah, I was already training.
Yeah.
I did started Jiu Jitsu then too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did he take that?
Well, I think he just knew his place, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that thought ever cross your mind? Like, if you go and become a cop, and it's like because you're related to this guy, like some of the things he's been up to.
Yep.
Like, was that ever a thought in your mind that, hey, how are you going to handle this situation if you have to put your own brother in?
Yeah, as long as you declare everything. But at that point in time when I joined, he was like pretty clean.
Oh, okay.
Like, returned home and found a job, lost a job.
Yeah.
And stayed home, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he didn't really care about much of that gang-related life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think changed in him for him to like sort of grow out of it?
Probably when the gang dismembered.
Oh, okay.
And he actually went to prison as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Not so long after that, yeah.
Yep. Did you notice a big change in him after he came back from prison, like in a positive way or a negative way, or?
Probably more quiet. Yeah, just keeping to himself more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, there comes a time when, it's no longer really much fun, is it?
Nah. It's all young and stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I think he was pretty old at that stage, 30 something or almost 40, and just over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what's your relationship with him like now?
We just walk past each other. But he stays at my parents', so
okay.
I've moved out already, so
yeah.
But we don't talk, yeah.
Yeah, wow. So then, when you got into the police force, so like, me sort of just, reading into the situation, right? It's like, you've seen plenty of things, where it was domestic stuff, or your brother passing away, due to, drugs and that side of things. So, like, obviously the reason you had like some personal reasons why you wanted to try and help,
just to prove myself, just wanted to prove myself that I was the better kid, pretty much. Yeah.
What, sibling robbery?
Nah, just to my parents, because they looked at all the other ones like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit, this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Then there was me, so I couldn't let them down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel a lot of pressure from that perspective?
Yeah. I think more pressure on myself.
And was that like, did you put that pressure on yourself because you saw like how heartbroken your mum was?
Obviously? Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And like for you, and just to go back to your older brother passing away, right? Like, do you remember what it was like when you got that news? And the reason why I say this is because I remember, so I had this friend in primary school, Julian Sinclair, and like he always had a heart issue, right?
Yep.
Like, so he was like really pasty, couldn't do any sport, like he could only like walk around and do things like that. And I remember like in like maybe like year 5 or 6, he already had like a pacemaker put in.
Yeah, it's very young.
And he passed away like in I think maybe year 7 or 8 or 9 when I was in high school. And like, so, you know, I would have been maybe what 14, 15, something like that. And you get this phone call and, you know, you get told like, well, I didn't get the phone call. Like I was actually ringing his house. I was ringing to speak to him about some game or something like that. And that's when his mum told me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I remember like, you know, back then I had like, it wasn't like a mobile phone. It was like one of those cordless phones.
Yep.
So still all the buttons on it like an old Nokia brick, but
but it's
portable
massive.
handset. And then you got to put it back to charge and things like that. And I was like sitting on this step of my house, and then like I hung up the phone call, and I'm like just sitting there like trying to process it, right? And at that age, I don't think you sort of, I don't know. I've always, I don't really know exactly, you know, well, I don't remember like the specific feelings around it, but I remember sitting there and just like thinking about it, right? So I guess, you know, like when do you often reflect on that, or have you ever sort of reflected on that?
Yeah, I still kind of remember that day like it was yesterday, eh? Like 2 cops came to my house and spoke to my mum, and then I was translating.
Oh,
then,
you were translating?
Yeah, because my mum doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, who do you know this person? Then my mum's like, oh, yes, that's my son. And then the cops were like, oh, you've got to come identify the body. We think it's your son. So then my mum jumped in the cop car and I stayed home. And I was just thinking, oh, yeah, he's dead. But I think I just froze and, yeah, just couldn't quite understand it. Yeah.
And then what about like, obviously when your mum comes home and then she says, yeah, he's gone or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go through that whole process of like organising funerals and doing all that. Like, I guess, do you remember like grieving or anything like that? Like,
I remember I was just shattered, eh? Yeah. And I think after that I was more reserved to myself.
You just,
yeah. And you know, Asian parents, they don't really speak to you how you feel and all that. So I was just like, I was just pretty much left alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, going back forward to policing, right? I guess, you know, once you got into the force, like where did they first station you and
so I picked Liverpool.
Oh, so you actually wanted to be close to home?
Yeah, close to home. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of action in Liverpool. You know, just young and stupid.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see everything.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I got.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, if you could share some stories, I think that'd be pretty important, because I think, you know, it's often overlooked exactly like how traumatic some of these things can be. And obviously if anything's too traumatic for you, don't bring it up. But
no, I'm pretty good with talking about it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, do you remember like what were some of the first things that you saw when you were fresh into the job?
So I saw my first incident probably even before I was a sworn officer. So we did a thing called student placement or SPO. So basically you do half of your work at the academy and then they send you off to a station for 2 weeks just to see what the shift is like, and you do like a ride along with the cops. So but I don't think they do that now though. But I remember the second shift, on a third shift, on a night shift, my first deceased job was a suicide. Yeah, 21-year-old kid just hung himself.
Wow.
And we were like pretty much 2 minutes away from the house. Yeah, we got there and he was just basically hanging from the ceiling with his girlfriend just running around screaming her head off. Wow. Yeah.
And so what do? You cut him down or?
Cut him down, do CPR. We had to flip the whole room just to make space, called the ambos. And by the time ambos came, we did CPR. He was already gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what sort of, was there any support, you know, when you see something like that? Or like, I guess there's two things that I think about, you know, when you see traumatic things like that, right? Like, I think there's two things that happen. Obviously, some people may naturally have a little bit more of a, I guess, an ability to stomach some of those things. Like, I think there's obviously when you come across, like, you know, the smell of death and all those sorts of things, very easy for people to want to puke and or blood, and
that stays with you.
Yeah, that stays with you, right? But on the flip side, I think there's also, like, the more you're exposed to it, it's just like anything, you slowly get develop this sort of resistance to it. Like it sort of desensitizes you, right?
Yep.
Like, do you remember how you felt after that first incident?
Yeah, I was pretty cool about it. I was just like, oh, this is the job. This is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
But I never really processed anything. I was pretty emotionless kid, or I didn't really understand my feelings.
Yeah.
Or mental health.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't really believe in mental health when I joined. I was like, yeah, I'm tough. All this won't affect me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, so you just sort of carry on, right?
Yeah, carry on. With the emotional support, you said they just give you a call, or I sat down with the teacher at the academy. They're like, oh, I've heard you went to this job. How are you feeling? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. Because obviously at that time I didn't want to obviously say something, and then they go, oh, we might need to get this guy psyched out or something.
Yeah.
And then get kicked out of the academy. So
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
so I think everyone that went to incidences were like, yeah, I'm pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, what happened? So you do your SPO, and then after that, then they station you. Is that what happens? Or?
Yeah, after that, I go back to the academy, finish my session 2. So you do like all your practical stuff, firearms.
Was that fun?
Oh yeah, I think that's the only time I got to get a shooter gun. First 2 weeks it was fun, and then it gets really boring after.
Okay.
It's just like a tool, basically. Yeah.
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 Was there anything tricky about that you didn't expect about when it came to like firearms and guns and things like that when you're going through the training?
Nah. I played a lot of Call of Duty, so closest thing I got to it.
And then accuracy wise, how good were you?
Oh, I was top of the class. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy. Just point and shoot.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think people always say like with handguns, it's like because when you think about it, right, like they preemptively brace for
Yep.
the shock of the gun
Yeah.
pulling back, right?
Yeah. So to stop that, you pull the trigger really slow until there's no slack, and then beyond that point, the gun will go off.
Yeah.
So if you squeeze the trigger straight away, then the gun will shake, and you shoot it like in different directions.
Yep.
So if you keep it steady, then you should be fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they go through all like the triangle grips and things like that, right? Like
Yeah.
supporting hands.
Yeah, how to hold it properly, how to reload properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what drills you should do if you're in a situation you need to reload quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like John Wick doing that?
Oh yeah, that's the only time. Yeah, I felt like a John Wick.
Okay. And then so you get stationed out in Liverpool.
Yep.
And then do they partner you with someone, obviously?
Yeah, you get allocated a field training officer.
Mm.
So you're stuck with him for I think 12 weeks, and you've got to mark certain criterias on the job, like attend different types of jobs, and get it marked off by your senior officer.
Yeah. So then what it sounds a bit strange that they would know what kind of jobs that they want you to attend, right? Like
Yeah.
So
it's
it's
a
like
variety there. Yeah.
so what kind of jobs are you having to mark off?
Oh, like attend an assault job, do a motor vehicle crash, do a decease, do domestic, mental health. That's pretty much it.
Wow.
Yeah, those are pretty much the main jobs that you get. The others are just like welfare checks, or just check if something's on, or that's it. Patrol an area.
So when you became a cop, like what did you come back home in your uniform or whatever, and what do your parents say to you?
Yeah, they were pretty happy. They came to my graduation, and I think it's the first time I actually saw them really happy.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, my mum still has a lock screen on her phone of me in uniform.
Oh,
she
there you
likes
go.
to show off to people.
It's a proud moment for her, right?
Yeah.
And then what about your dad after smacking you in the face for wanting to be a cop? What did his tune change at all? Or?
Yeah, because I think at that point I was old enough to make my own decisions. So I think I was still really young at that stage. So he's trying to prepare me in the direction to not be a cop. But I set my mind to it and followed through.
Yeah. So then I guess what other there's probably some jobs that would stick out in your mind, right? Do you want to share some of those stories and what happened?
Yeah, pretty much all the critical incidents and jobs I've been to. So they call me Dr. Death.
They call you Dr. Death?
Yeah.
What, in the force?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Because every time I'm on, I usually cop like a dead person.
Why?
I don't know. It's just my luck. I'm probably the shit magnet, they call it. Yeah.
Okay, so go tell me, share with us.
Yeah, so a funny one was me and my mate Dave working at Green Valley Station, which is part of the Liverpool sector, and he made a joke at the start of the shift. He's like, "Oh, I'm paired up with you, Tran. I think someone's going to die tonight."
Fuck.
And then we get to the car, we gun up, we load everything in the police vehicle. Then the first job that came on was a welfare check for this lady that hasn't been seen for like 2 weeks. And yeah, I went there, and then the nephew was actually at home, and he said, "Oh, she's been in her room for the last 2 days. She's probably drunk. She's always getting drunk and just sleeping."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh yeah, all good. Just let her know that we want to talk to her. Just make sure everything's all right." And yeah, he's opened the door. He's walked up to her. She was actually standing against a cabinet, deceased.
Wow.
So it looks like she was standing up in a white dress, in a white gown, like a sleeping gown. And he's nudging her, and then he's like, "Oh, she's not responding." And the first thing I did was look at Dave. I was like, "Shit." So I ran up to her. I checked. She was like stone cold, like, you know, the body stiffened up.
Stiffened up.
Yeah, just
rigor
really,
mortis already.
yeah, yeah. And then I was like, "Dave, she's dead, man. She's dead." So I put her on the ground. Started checking her pulse, no pulse. And yeah, started doing CPR, and just blood came out everywhere.
Oh, what?
From the mouth, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, did that, and then called for ambos as an urgent job, and then they came straight away, and they're like, "Yeah, she's gone. She's probably been gone for like a day or two."
Why did the blood come out of her mouth?
No idea. I think because she's been dead for a couple of days or so.
Yeah.
The blood's not circulating, so when I did CPR, I just went through.
So when you're doing the compressions?
Yeah.
So it's not when you put your mouth on.
No. I've never put my mouth on people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can if you want to. There's a mask for it, but you can choose not to.
Yeah, just do chest compressions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck. And then what did Dave say? He goes, "Man, like,
He's
I
like,
jinxed
"Man,
us."
what did I tell you?" I'm like, "Yeah, you jinxed us, man."
Wow.
Yeah.
And so same thing, right? Like after any incident, right? They probably have the counsellor call you and just be like, "Are you okay?"
It's called EAP.
EAP.
Employee Assistance Program.
Yep. I'll bring that up because
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the EAP, Employee Assistance Program, and they give you a call. "Hey, you've been to this job. How you feeling?" I'm like, "Yeah, good." Like, "All right, sweet," and then hang up. So that's pretty much it.
So that's the extent of it.
Yeah, that's the extent of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, for you, like, would you ever talk about these things when you were in the force? Like, would you talk, like, obviously you could talk about it with your partner, but like your partner when I say in the like who you're riding with in the police car.
Oh, you probably talk about it for like a day.
Yeah.
Like the next day or so, but then because you see it so often, I think everyone just gets over it.
Just becomes normal.
Yeah. It's just a normal job.
So then, when do you start to realize that, hey, maybe something's wrong? Like, you know, like mentally for you, like,
yeah,
when you keep seeing these things, was there anything that, like, you know, was so traumatic for you to see, or like?
Probably the end of my career. Reason why I got out of the force. Yeah, towards the end of the career, it starts making you feel weird. You really know when you're starting to get fucked up.
So okay, can you share the story? Like, what did you see, or what happened when you started?
So I've been to heaps of incidences before that, like stabbings and shootings, and then I transferred to Campbelltown after 3 years at Liverpool because I just got over domestics, and I was working with the transport people there.
What? Sorry, transport is in like highway patrol or?
No, the police transport command.
Police. Oh, so moving the inmates and stuff.
Yeah, so we're just on the trains, and we basically do patrols around the trains.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just to keep the network safe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. So not like so. Do police check for tickets and things like that or not?
Yeah.
I see. You'd have to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah. We check for tickets, get fines, and use it as a way to obviously
revenue race.
Nah, no. Yeah, you can say that. But yeah, just to like further look into people.
Yeah. Did you ever have any okay, before we get into the stories about, you know, what made you realize you were starting to get a bit messed up, were there any times when you felt like your personal security was threatened, or you didn't feel safe on the job? Like,
oh yeah, probably when almost got stabbed 3 times.
Yeah. So what happened?
So the first one was just a routine call, just to I believe it was a domestic, but it wasn't really a domestic. The son was just drunk inside the house, and the mother, and then the son locked the mother outside the house.
Okay.
And then the mother's like, "Yeah, he's too drunk tonight. I want him gone." this is my house. So our job was just to
Get him out.
just to get him out. Like, hey, you're too drunk. Your mum doesn't want you here for tonight.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
So yeah, the mum was outside to talk to her. She's like, yeah, he's in the house. The door's locked, I think. So you got to knock and get him to open it. So I was like walking. There was 4 of us. I was the second in the line to the house, and the house was like a single story unit with a bush pretty close to the front door.
Yep.
So we walked up the door. We gave the knock, police, and then as soon as we start knocking, the guy runs out with a metal pitchfork, a barbecue pitchfork, and I was the first one to see it because I think the first guy was too close to the door. As soon as he came at us lunging, I was like, knife.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had to jump behind the bush, and guns out, taser out. One of the officers used a taser and it worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my first proper like life-threatening call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when that happens, right, like you probably have quite a lot of adrenaline going through you, right? Were you shaky at all? Like, did you get?
No, I was pumped.
You were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it feels unreal. And then 2 hours later, you get the maddest adrenaline dump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then what happened after, like 2 hours later, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm so tired now.
So tired. And I was only like halfway through my night shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably like 2 a.m. and then finish at 6:30.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, well, probably after the adrenaline dump, you're like, I hope there's no other incidents.
yeah, because, you go to another life-threatening call, you got to be switched on again.
Yeah.
Or else, yeah,
so
that can happen.
So that was the first one. What was the second one?
Second one was up in a unit for a mental health job. Yeah. Some guy, I think he wanted to self-harm or he said he wanted to kill himself. So routine job, if anyone says that, they go to hospital, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we took him out the unit and then out of nowhere, he starts running to the kitchen. So then I didn't even think about it. So I just chased him, grabbed him and threw him on the ground.
Yeah.
And he was like, probably like a meter away from the kitchen knife.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh man, you're so lucky. I was going to grab that knife and stab you.
Well, he even told you.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, all right, thanks, mate. Glad you told me that.
Yeah. Did you ever get, and I think it'd be fairly easy for this to happen, right? Like as an officer, it's like, when people are like back chatting you and kind of that kind of stuff, like, would you ever get like riled up or pissed off?
Yeah. Oh, you'll bottle up things inside.
Yeah.
But you can't really like show it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't just go and pump somebody.
No, you can't just go up to a random guy because he said something not nice and punch him in the face.
Yeah. Would that happen quite a lot when you were out walking and patrolling and things like that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So what were the common things, like people calling you pigs and shit?
Oh, pigs, use guys as dogs, blah, blah, all that. Get a real job, I pay taxes. Yeah, just all the unusual stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just shrug it off or how, like?
Yeah, just ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a...
Because these days you got to treat everyone like a customer now.
Well, it's crazy, right? Because it's like, yeah, like, you can sort of understand some people's perspectives that, we do obviously, our tax money goes to funding that sort of stuff. But at the same time, it's like when you need help and you do need a cop,
yeah,
you wouldn't be saying that kind of shit.
Yeah, 100%.
You'd actually be grateful that, hey, the fact that we have these services available to us,
And the funny thing is, most of the calls would come from the people abusing you.
Really?
Like, now you guys are getting to a domestic, or you need ambos, and now you call us.
Yeah.
And then, you still got to treat them the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you'd see like people that had like abused you guys.
Yeah,
and then they'd
100%.
be calling you guys for for their
you
own
might be
domestic
punching on with a guy one day, and then the next week later or next month later, he'll call you because he needs you. And the tables turn. Yeah.
How strange is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So okay, and then what was the third time? You tried someone.
Third time was another mental health job or missing kid with mental health, and he's been gone for like the whole day. So missing person report, and there was a description of him on the radio. So I was at Campbelltown that time, and I was like, oh, that guy looks like the guy. So then I approach him, I talk to him. He's like, nah, that's not me. I was like, wait, hang on. So I asked the radio just to give me the details again to look up on the mobile, which is like a mobile device that the police use.
Yep.
With all the police system. So I typed his name in. I look at the photo. I look at him. I was like, you're the guy. So then I spoke to him. He's like, yeah, want to kill myself. Blah, blah, I'm not feeling right. Like, all right, sweet. Checked all the boxes because he said those words, and off to the mental hospital you go.
Yep.
Called the ambos. We're just waiting, standing around. Then out of nowhere, he starts, because I searched him before they get transported. So I attempted to search him. As I approach him, he reaches behind his back and grabs a pair of scissors. And then I just threw my body at him and just grabbed his hands, yeah.
So out of curiosity, when you're doing your policing course, like how much knowledge do they, or how much training do they give you in terms of like combat? Like, you know, like trying to understand, you know, how should you restrain somebody, all that sort of stuff, versus how much of it was just because you had already picked up jiu-jitsu and...
Yeah, well, they teach you how to use handcuffs, but no hand-to-hand stuff. They probably teach you like a simple takedown, which does not work on the streets, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you'd like...
And that's pretty much it.
That's crazy to think that they're sending people out there with zero ability.
Yeah, you'll say 10% ability.
Okay, so 10%, you know one takedown and you know how to use your handcuffs.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's it.
Yeah, you get told to keep distance, watch hands.
And just resort to using tasers and guns? Is that?
Yeah, go hand to hand or taser, whichever appointments or your weapons can apply at that time. So you got to know your legislation on when you can use an OC spray.
Okay.
When to use a taser, when to use a gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guess there's probably some pretty stringent criteria around like each of those. Like, do they grade them in levels? It's like obviously if it's this level of escalation, you can use this.
Yes. Yeah. So OC is like if a confrontation is likely to occur or is occurring. Taser is when you're at imminent threat or an incident has escalated or whatever like that. And obviously gun is when there's a life-threatening situation.
Yeah.
Or someone's going to die, like you or someone else.
Yeah.
Or there's a threat in front of you, yeah.
Yep. So typically, you know, to draw your gun on somebody would mean that they need to have some kind of a weapon, right?
Yeah, yep, 100%.
Yeah, wow. Okay, I just think that that's absolutely crazy when, you're dealing with these situations like, you know, and especially because a lot of the
same time you got to go through that thought process. Can I use this? Can you use that? So it gets a bit stressful. Yeah.
And especially like, just imagine if you weren't doing the outside training, right?
Oh
like,
yeah, I'll probably be dead, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, and that's the thing, like you're like for us smaller guys,
yeah,
right? You know, especially if you're dealing with somebody who might be like, I don't know, let's just say they're 100 kilos, but like, you know, they're jacked up on trenbolone and
on drugs,
iced up and steroided up, and like, you know, it's a very difficult situation to navigate.
Yeah, and I don't think the OC spray works so much on them too.
I had a friend in uni, and he used to work at a bar. He used to work at Maloney's in the city.
Yeah,
and he used to tell me this story about like, sometimes when these dudes are drugged up on ice or whatever, he got into like this bar fight where they're trying to kick this guy out. And so there's like a few security guys, and he's telling me this story. Like he goes, man, when these guys are on ice, they don't feel nothing. Yeah. He goes, the guy was on the ground, and he like, he's a big guy. I won't say his name, but let's say this guy was like say 100 kilos. Like he's tall Asian.
Yep.
Big Asian dude, right?
Big boy, yeah.
Big boy. And he was like, man, I was stomping on this guy's nuts and he did not feel a thing. And like,
I believe him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I had a similar story. We're dealing with a lot skinnier bloke, and he was on ice, but he was superhuman.
Yeah.
There was probably 6 of us trying to restrain him and put handcuffs on. And you could just not bend his arm. You could not put his hand behind his back or bend his arm to put the cuffs on.
Wow.
Yeah.
When do they use cable ties versus using handcuffs?
I think cable ties are used by the regional enforcement squads, or when they do searches.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah, just to restrain the people in the house a lot quicker.
Okay.
Yeah. Or for example, if they're doing a raid or a search warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wow. Okay.
Yeah, but we just use standard handcuffs, the metal ones. Yeah.
Yep. Did you ever like play with the handcuffs yourself and try and lock yourself up and then try and get out?
Nah, you get in trouble for that.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
How do they know?
Oh, because some people, because there's stories that cops would used to bring it home.
Yeah.
And get
use it on their missus.
Yeah, get funk with their missus, and they lose their key or they forget their key. And then the missus is like, oh, fuck. Now I'm stuck with handcuffs. And he's like, oh, damn it. Now I've got to go in and tell them I lost my keys and the cuffs are on my missus. And yeah, there will be complaints about that. Yeah.
Wow.
So they tell you, don't be stupid. Don't put on yourself or don't put on other people for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny that they actually had to tell, put out a notice about it, right?
Yeah. 100%.
All right. So then, I guess, going forward to, when you started to realize that, hey, I'm getting a little bit messed up here.
Yep.
What sort of changes did you notice?
Oh, so this was straight after, in the span of 2 weeks, where I had 2 critical incidents job week after week. So first one was a train disease. A guy committed suicide. I think it was like 40 years old. And
how old?
41.
41.
Yeah. Killed himself overnight, laid on the train tracks, and I think 12 trains ran over him by the time I got there, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty messed up.
And then the next week after that, I'm still processing things. Then the next week, there was a wanted offender. And I was just patrolling towards the end of my shift. I think I finished in like an hour. And then the police helicopter was around the area, just like doing a quick patrol as well to help out. Usually we never find these wanted guys and they usually get away. But for some reason, Pole Air is what we call it, the helicopters, found this guy in front of a driveway. And then I was like 2 minutes away as well. And then I was like, yeah, radio responding to that job. So I get their lights and sirens and he's standing at the front with a knife and another officer comes saying, oh, he's got a knife. Someone bring out a taser. Get your guns ready.
Yeah.
So we're running towards him. So I had my OC out, my gun out because I didn't have a taser. My partner did. She had a taser out.
So how come you didn't have one?
So only one person's allowed to have a taser.
Oh, really?
With your partner.
So in a duo.
Yeah. So just in case something happens, one person taser, the other guy comes in handcuffs.
Okay.
Yeah, just like safety.
Yep.
So then people don't shoot each other with tasers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does that happen? Has that happened?
Oh, like maybe the old prongs or so.
Yeah.
Like get stuck, but never have I seen it. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I heard people that got actually hit by tasers.
Did you ever have to experience getting shocked by a taser and know what it feels like?
No. It's not like America.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are running towards him.
Yeah, running towards him.
Taser.
Yeah, taser. I have my gun, my OC.
Yeah.
So the first thing, obviously, there's already a threat. So we told him put the knife down. He's like, nah, I'm not going back to jail. And then I emptied pretty much my whole can of OC spray. And that didn't work. And then all the cops were tasering him that came. That didn't work. And yeah, during the process of all this happening, yeah, he just kept getting the knife and slicing his throat. Like probably 10 times until he dropped.
Wow.
So then I'm like, oh, shit. So then I was deciding to shoot him or not just in case he ran towards us, but lucky he didn't. Put my gun away, ran to him, hold his neck. And yeah, he's just trying to talk to him like, hey, bro, stay alive, talk to me.
Yeah.
While the ambos are coming, yeah.
And he just did that because he didn't want to go back to jail.
Yeah, I didn't want to go back.
Well, in that situation, right? Like, could you have shot him to shoot him in the knee or something to like?
No.
You're not allowed to.
No. Our goal is to shoot to stop the threat. So pretty much center mass.
So yeah, so you just can't really do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of faced away on the side, so there was no really imminent threat to us of him unless he turns around and starts lunging.
Yeah. Then
I would have had to make the decision, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after that, completed my shift. They confiscated my body camera, OC spray and all of that just for investigation or whatever.
Yeah.
You had to write a statement and yeah. See you later, I went home. And I think the next day, I didn't sleep that day because I had so much adrenaline and I didn't know what the hell was going on. Didn't sleep that day and I started feeling really funny the next day. Felt like I was out of my body, like an out of body experience. And your mind's just racing 24/7 after that, yeah. And then I was like, oh crap, I'm definitely not going to work tomorrow. So I called the supervisor, I'm like, hey, I feel pretty fucked up, eh? He's like, yeah, go to the doctors ASAP. Went to the doctor and yeah, never came back to work.
So what did the doctor say?
He's like, yeah, I think you have PTSD, eh?
Yeah.
And I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I think you have PTSD. You're not sleeping, you're getting flashbacks.
And so you continue seeing like that situation unfold over and over?
Yeah, I'll see like just random jobs when I'm sleeping. Like things that never really crossed my mind, and then it started crossing my mind. Like the first job I told you about, that lady dying standing up. Like I just woke up, and then I think I was hallucinating, and then I saw her face in front of me. That freaking freaked me out. But this was like probably during the middle of my career.
Yeah.
Like I was getting like nightmares, flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other ones would sort of come back and, flashback when you're sleeping and things like that?
Maybe the stabbings, like all the bloody scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess, in that last one where, this guy's slit his own throat and you're trying to stop the bleeding, like, and you're trying to talk to him, was he saying anything, or he was just like, was he looking at you? What was he doing?
He was just probably like, oh, I think I'm going to die, eh?
Yeah.
I'm feeling cold, blah, 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 because he's probably losing a lot of blood.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, you're good. Just trying to, like, build his confidence,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, it's crazy. Something out the movies.
Yeah. Well, and this is, it's one of those things that I think, people don't necessarily appreciate, just how much shit you can actually see, how much trauma there is out there when you go through these things, because, everybody goes through their own little, what's the right word to put this? Their own
problems.
Yeah, their own problems, right? And even like going back to the one about, the guy who jumped in or like was lying on the train tracks, like that one hits home for me because, that's part of the reason why I started this podcast.
Yeah, that one cooked me pretty bad, yeah.
Like my mate jumped in front of a train at Homebush Station.
Yeah.
Committing suicide. And
it wasn't so much the body that that got me like shook up. It was the family part of things.
So what was the family side of it? Like when you have to go and tell the family
just like trying to identify the body, and then you look through his phone, his iPad, and you see him playing with the kids and with family and happy times,
Yeah.
And that, really sticks with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever, like, I guess did you have to investigate that one to try and work out what happened, or?
Oh, it was fairly straightforward, eh? There's CCTV footage of him walking towards the tracks, and that's pretty much it.
And but did you guys like when it comes to suicides, do you ever is that like enough, or do you guys ever really like look into beyond that? Like, and the reason why I ask is because obviously when my mate passed away, we as in his friend network, like we're obviously trying to work out
what went wrong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, we didn't really.
You don't think about that, right?
We didn't think about.
We don't have to investigate that.
You just you just do a report to the coroner.
Yeah.
Unless it's like suspicious, if it's like you suspect he's been murdered or something like that, then detectives get involved. But usually suicides are straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised. Like as you said, it was like 12 trains had run over him. Like nobody noticed. Is that what happened?
Nobody noticed. Yeah.
Wow.
Nobody noticed until in the morning, where I think one of the trains, he's like, oh, I think there's a dead animal on the road, on the tracks.
Yeah.
Because he ran over or something.
Yeah.
And just as like safety to the trains and all that, they send someone out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got a call for a possible dead body. Didn't know what it was. Didn't mention anything about a guy on the track. So we got there. Oh, it's a body, because you see body parts along the tracks. Yeah, for like the span of like 100 meters, 200 meters.
Wow.
And yeah.
Well, and how do you even go about identifying a body like that?
Oh, we got pretty lucky. Usually it's like fingerprints or, or their body is still intact and someone can identify them.
Yeah.
Or there's like a wallet nearby with their personal details.
Yeah.
And usually we'll do like a record check and go to the homes.
Yeah.
But this one wasn't the case, because everything was like in 1,000 pieces.
Yeah.
But on his... So what's left was his torso that had a tattoo on it, a big tattoo, a big back tattoo.
Yep.
And for some reason, his ex-wife probably knew who committed suicide, because he's got a history of self-harm, and it was near the area, near his house.
Yep.
So then the ex-wife calls us. He's like, hey, I think it might be my ex-husband. He lives at this address. You might as well just go to that address and
check if it's him
and see if he's there. So we get there, the doors open. He wasn't there. Then we went through his iPad and saw a video of him playing with his daughter. But he was standing in front of a mirror, and on the reflection of the mirror, you could see the tattoo on his back. And we're like,
that's him.
That's him, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how we identified him. Yeah.
So I guess for you, having to, you went to the doctors and then, you never go back to the police force after that. Like, how do you go and process things to try and like, to try and work on all these traumatic things that you've seen? Like, do you still get the flashbacks now, or?
Not so much now. Like, I'll get the occasional nightmares, but my sleeping's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Probably 5-6 hours now. Yeah. Before I was just sleeping or when I was working, I'll get like 1 or 2 hours sleep a night.
Really? That bad?
Yeah. Or usually your sleeping pattern, because the shift, the roster is terrible.
Yeah.
Cops. So you do like 2 days, 2 nights. And if
wait, in a row? So you do 4 days on, like
4 days on, and then you get like 4 or 5 off.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case, because if you have court matters, you'll need to work on your days off and go to court.
Oh, wow.
So they roster on you for a shift. So you pretty much have like broken sleeping pattern all the time. Yeah.
And so then,
so like, broken sleep, and I was pumping a lot of coffees.
Yeah.
So every cop is like a caffeine addict.
Yeah.
We probably go through like 6 to 8 coffees a shift.
Yeah.
Just to like stay awake.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like even the Simpsons, like, Chief Wiggum's always, coffees and donuts.
Coffees and donuts, yeah. Not so much donuts for me. I don't know where they get the donuts from, but usually coffees, yeah.
Yeah.
Shitload of coffee.
Yeah. So what I'm curious about is like how you try and process your way through some of these things. Like, so when you've gone to the doctor, like, do they prescribe like counseling, or how do they sort of help you?
Yeah. So they got me straight on to like as a psychologist and a psychiatrist.
And what did they say to you?
They're like, so they do like all the formal diagnosis, and they're like, yeah, you definitely have PTSD and a bit of depression or whatever. With that, so they gave me meds, and just like a whole year of just trialing different medications. So I was pretty like cooked from all the prescriptions during that year. Just like heaps drowsy. You just couldn't stay awake. I'll sleep in the day a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we've found the right one. So I've been staying on the same one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that whole process of going through, all the different meds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, were you in your relationship with your partner then?
Yeah. I've always been with my wife. Yeah.
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 How did because that's quite stressful on her as well, right?
I'm guessing. Well, I never really told her everything or really tell her how I feel. Yeah. Because I think cops, we don't really talk about ourselves. We fucking macho everything.
Internalize it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but then isn't it like, I think that's part of the problem, right? It's like, as you sort of have said, it's like you let these things bubble up away inside of you, and then they eventually just eat away until.
Yeah, I was a pretty angry person. Like, I was always angry and snapping at like things for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, she'll tell me to do the dishes or something, and I'll just get really angry.
So you're like, you fucking do the dishes.
Like, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, you fucking do the dishes, fuck. I'm so tired, blah, blah.
So she's actually pretty understanding then. If you're like that all the time, right? Like, I think most partners would, if they didn't understand the situation, they'd probably be like, all right, I can't fucking be in this relationship anymore.
Yeah. There's a high divorce rate in the cops. Yeah.
So then, I'm just very curious about that, like, because over the years, then did she notice the change in you?
I'm pretty sure she's noticed, but she's like, oh, this is his job, so I can't really do anything. Yeah.
And then, so then when you go start to exit the police force, like, was she what did she say about it then, or did you guys ever talk about it, or?
Yeah, she was understanding what I was going through, because I was seeing the psych and stuff a lot. Yeah, she was pretty understanding, but yeah, I think I went through like a mad identity crisis.
Yeah,
because you go from a cop, from someone in authority, to pretty much nobody now.
Yeah. I think that's fairly consistent with most professions. You know, I've talked about this. So, you know, like obviously I had this, you know, professional career in the automotive industry for 17 years, and you build up a lot of your identity based on what you do, not who you are.
Yeah, 100%.
And, you know, especially, same thing, right? Like I was in managerial positions, you know, had staff, all this sort of stuff. And then, you know, one day I'm not.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, you know, you sort of question your own sort of value.
Yeah,
right?
like your self-worth. What's your purpose now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, out of curiosity, you know, where did that land you? So when you go through this identity crisis, like, are you still going through it now, or you, or you sort of?
I think I kind of figured out who I am, what I want to do, and what makes me happy now. So yeah, I think that's the key thing. Just be happy, eh? Because I think I was so invested in the police, seeing negativity every day. I was never happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I often like talking about this because, like, you know, when somebody passes away, the most common thing we say is rest in peace.
Yep.
Right? When somebody dies, you don't go, I wish you, you know, like gong xi fa tai.
No.
You know, wish you happiness or prosperity. You don't say these sorts of
you're always
things.
delivering the bad news. Yeah.
It's always like, you know, when somebody dies, it's all you wish for them is for them to be at peace.
Yep.
And it's kind of funny because, like, you know, we've got all these different sayings about like how you should live life and all of these different bits and pieces. But like when you actually think about it, if you were to start with the end in mind, right, and all you wish for when somebody dies is that they're at peace, then why wouldn't you live your life that way?
Yeah.
You know, why wouldn't you live your life trying to find that peace?
Yep.
Like when you think about what peace is, it means that, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean it's all good or all bad. It's like, but you're okay with whatever it is.
Yeah. Just what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But even happiness, right? Like it's understanding that happiness is it's a fleeting state, because if everything was always happy, you'd never know, you wouldn't appreciate it anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you need to experience the sadness or the down, the negatives to understand what positives
to really enjoy that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Because like, as of anything, right? Like it's all about the shades, because if you could only see one color, like if you could, all you could only see was either white or black.
Yeah.
Right. So
you can't see the beauty of things.
Yeah. Well, because there's no contrast. So if you only saw white, you wouldn't be able to tell what was white and what wasn't. If you only saw black, you wouldn't be able to tell any other color.
Yep.
So you need to have like these contrasting experiences, both good and bad.
Yep.
To really try and find, you know, to appreciate what you have.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like often, I like always reflecting back on that, you know, like when we die, we always say, you know, rest in peace.
Yep.
And it's like, well, that should actually be, you know, an ethos to how we live our lives. You know, if we can appreciate that good and bad is always going to happen, but, you know, if we can just find peace in ourselves, then that's probably a good way to live life, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think with me was being exposed to like the dark side of the world all the time. All I saw was black, like all the negative. So I'd never really enjoyed good moments or never really appreciated good moments.
Yeah.
Or even when, let's say you go to a family outing or go out with your friends. Yeah, you're like, oh, these people are all laughing now, but they don't know what's on the other side of the world, you know?
Yeah.
Then, yeah, you just always think negative.
So, yeah, that's
just
interesting.
Just ingrained in you, yeah.
Yeah, so that would, like, taint your viewpoint, right? Because, like, you probably have friends that might have been, like, obviously don't get exposed to these things, so they're talking, like, you know, it's almost like first world problems kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And they have this, like, the worst thing that's ever happened to them might be like, oh, you know, they didn't get, I don't know, the job that they wanted.
Yeah, or, yeah,
right?
Everyone's telling me about the problems, like, yeah, I've seen worse. Couldn't really connect with people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because that becomes hard, right? Because you like, from your perspective, it'd be very easy to view, like, their viewpoints as shallow. And on the flip side, they'd probably be looking at you going, why the fuck is Tony such a negative guy?
Yeah, he's so negative all the time. He's always so angry. Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, so that's obviously, you know, should be changing now, right? Like,
yeah, definitely. I'm doing more Jiu Jitsu now, so Jiu Jitsu makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you still doing the counselling and things like that?
Yeah, like once a month. It's less frequent now, so yeah.
There's a concept that I'd be interested to get your thoughts on. You know, because like at like when you think about the idea of PTSD, there's a school of thought that talks about this idea of what we call a moral injury, And the reason why I talk about this is because one of my previous guests, Michael Lyons, was talking about this concept. And PTSD is often it's like a symptom, right? Like you see things, the flashbacks and all that. They're symptoms of I guess PTSD. And some people say it's like, the line of thinking that goes with moral injury. It's like when you experience things that go against your moral fiber as a person.
Yep.
We call that a moral injury, and over time, as those things accumulate, like they can display themselves as PTSD, and it's not necessarily that you've necessarily done the wrong thing.
Yep.
But it's seeing these things that are like that go against your humanity, kind of a thing, that add up over time.
Yep. And you start blaming yourself.
Yeah, well, because you feel like you wish you could do something about it, but you couldn't. You can't.
Yep.
Right? How do you sort of how do you reconcile that? Because like I think first of all, the first thing I want to say to you is that for even being a cop, like I think that's commendable, and like as just as a human being to another human being, like the fact that you were willing to put your own mental health and your body on the line in service of others, like I think people should be grateful for that.
Yep.
So I'm grateful to you for having done that, because at the end of the day, if nobody wanted to do that job, we just wouldn't have any police.
Yeah, 100%.
And then when people need those services, they're not available.
Chaos, yeah.
Yeah, it's chaos, right? So, so I'm just kind of curious about how you sort of reconcile that for yourself, in terms of when it comes to all of these, negative things that you've seen, and then trying to balance out, like, I guess, do you feel like it was almost like always kind of helpless, or do you feel like, you did your best and you're okay with that?
Like right now, like reflecting back on it, I'll say I did my best because I did everything I can. Always attend jobs and do stuff to the best of my abilities, like never cutting corners.
Yeah.
But when I was in the job, I was just like self-doubting myself, feeling helpless. I was like, everything I do never goes my way. People are always dying. I'm always seeing bad things. It's probably because of me, and it starts eating you inside. Yeah. Not until I've got the diagnosis and I left, and I'm starting to understand what I was feeling, then I was starting to accept that it wasn't me. It's just other people, or the situation that's passed already.
Were there any common threads in, like, when you see, like, say as an example, in domestic situations, was there any common themes in terms of like the problem? And the reason why I ask this is because, when we can acknowledge that there's a greater problem, or there's maybe like a correlation between certain factors impacting, or why these things happen, right?
Yep.
I often, think about this because it's like, not in the sense of like, because I think it'd be wrong to try and think that you can change the world, but I think on an individual basis, if each individual was to strive as in their own personal capacity to be a better person, then the world would be a much better place, right? Like, the only way to have less assholes in the world is just don't be an asshole.
Yep.
Right? And I don't say that in the sense of like, I'm preaching to other people to go and say you should change this or you should change that. But I think, it always goes back to like that parable of like the alcoholic father with the two sons, right? And one of the sons becomes an alcoholic, and the other one is staunchly against alcohol. And you ask both sons, you go to one son, why do you drink? And he goes, I learned it from my father.
Yep.
And you ask the other son, why don't you drink? And he goes, I learned it from my father.
Yep.
Right. So there's that level of personal accountability to be that better person.
Yeah. Everyone makes their own choices.
Yeah. So I guess, from that, going back to my original question, like, did you see any like some sort of common themes in some of these negative situations that stood out for you? Like, was it like, I don't know, broken families? Was it, I don't know, drugs? Like, what sort of common themes did you see out there?
Mostly mental health or drugs, but most jobs felt like it was just for reporting purposes. Where let's say the mother is trying to get custody of a kid away from the father, So there was a lot of false reporting, like, you know, saying, oh, my husband hit me. And then they'll inflict like self-harm on themselves just to say that, oh, look, he punched me here.
How do you identify that? Like,
You can't, you just got to take action just based on the evidence of what you see in front of you.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's like, oh, there's an allegation of a physical assault, and now there's evidence that there's bruising. You just arrest and charge.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Yeah. Even though, like, sometimes you know that this is a fake job, this is like a stupid job just for no reason, you can't ignore it because by legislation, you got to take action on domestics.
and there would have been like a portion of the jobs that were, you know, that sort of case, right? Like, and that actually creates a strain on
The police, yeah.
on resources, right?
Yes, 100%. That's
Yeah.
why there's so less cops now in the force than there was probably 10, 15 years ago, because everybody's leaving the job. Just too much workload and less cops. Yeah, but in saying that, I can probably recall out of the hundreds of domestics I've done, probably 1 or 2 jobs that are probably real domestics. Yeah, if that tells you anything, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in that, then, like, do you guys get to follow up in terms of, you know, what in those legitimate cases, or the ones that you found were legitimate? Do you get to see the flip side of, like, you know, somebody coming out of that, or?
Yeah, you're pretty much stuck with the case because you're doing the domestic, so you do all the investigation, all the charging, you go to court. But it wasn't let's say, a good job that you've helped the victim. Like, it feels like the system lets them down. Like, you know, you might do a good job, you've arrested this guy for punching his wife in the face, gave her a broken nose, broken eye. So yeah, that was pretty much one of my cases. The son-in-law bashed the mother-in-law to a pulp.
Fuck.
Which bruised eye, broken nose, bleeding, everything, and went to court, got all the evidence, everything looked straightforward, and the magistrate lets him off.
For what?
Just because he said that his girlfriend was there, so the mother-in-law's daughter,
And what, corroborating a witness kind of thing?
corroborating with him, taking his side, and she was not there that night. She was just like to the lawyer, I was there that night and I'm the witness.
Oh, and so she couldn't, or you couldn't prove otherwise.
Couldn't prove otherwise, and magistrate's like, 2-on-1, the defendant gets off, and even after the court case, the magistrate told me to stay behind and talk to me in person, because I think he felt I was really let down by the system.
Yeah.
And he was like, mate, you did a really good job, but it's out of our hands. I can't do anything. This is what the law is, the legislation is.
Fuck.
So it was just like, at that point, I was just like, I was pissed. I got back to the station just fucking pissed.
Yeah.
My sergeant's like, man, you got to let it go. This stuff will eat you inside. I remember his words. And job after job after that, I'll dwell on things a lot, and it just ate me inside, Yeah, killed me.
So I guess, you know, from that perspective, right? Like, it's one of those things where, you know, because you had like the best of intentions that you want to help people.
Yep.
And then you get let down, you know, in certain situations. It wouldn't be every situation, but like in that situation, obviously you were let down by the system.
Yep.
When it comes to then, and this is because I often think about, you know, bigger picture things, right? I'm sort of curious from your perspective then, like, how can, you know, we improve things? How could things get improved?
I think more support services and change in legislation. You know, give the cops more discretion.
More discretion.
Yeah.
Because I often, like, the red tape is there to sort of like protect the cops, so to speak, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, just to protect everyone.
Protect everyone.
Yeah.
How so? Like, what do you mean by, like, so when you say giving cops more discretion, is that like, and the reason why I ask this is because, you know, often where you know, if you provide more power to people, then it also becomes an opportunity for that power to be abused, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I think that's why the police is heading the direction that they are now, because cops were abusing the power.
Yeah.
Maybe in the 80s and the 90s. now everything's just so strict, body camera, cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
So just more discretion on if you should charge this person or not based on your belief. But like I said, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything's like charge. Just, you know, you're just like a robot.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it really tough. Like, you know, I think there's even like there was articles recently about, you know, police aren't wanting to do random breath testing because it's a drain on resources and
Drain on resources. Yeah. There's like 50 jobs going on outstanding.
Yep.
From maybe the last night shift or whatever, and they want you to do the RBTs, and then you're like to your supervisor or the sergeant. There's just so many jobs, and you want me to do RBTs. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. And on top of that, you got like cases you got to work on from like the previous months, investigations.
Yep.
And everything starts piling.
It's almost like you can never get through the workload, right?
No, you're just drowning all the time. Yeah. It just feels like you're living your life drowning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, let's sort of switch gears a little bit. So, you know, now that you're out of the police force, you know, what are you doing more of now, and what are you sort of finding? You know, how do you find that balance for you now? Trying to find peace?
Basically, I got heavily into jiu-jitsu side of things. So I'm teaching jiu-jitsu now, training every day at Grappling Education. Started my own brand as well, Gambaru Kimonos.
Hey.
Just getting into jiu-jitsu and competing, training as much as I can. Yeah.
What makes jiu-jitsu so special?
It's just always been there for me, Like, I've always would go to a critical incident and I would rush to jiu-jitsu, and once in the mats, you don't think about anything else. Yeah. Yeah.
So I in most of those incidents where, you know, you get into altercations, right?
Yep.
What would you think what were the go-tos? Like, what would naturally come to you in those moments to restrain somebody?
I just grab the hands, control the wrists.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can get behind, control the neck, or put a rear naked on or whatever.
Yep.
And then people handcuff, yeah.
so
or go for a takedown, yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite takedown?
I think a good proper one I did was a double leg.
In policing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I was in a foot pursuit. I was chasing a guy for like 4 blocks when I was a rookie, and ran inside a backyard. It was pitch black. I double legged him so hard, I split my head open.
Oh, you smacked into the ground?
Yeah, because it was so dark. There was a brick retainer wall.
Ah.
I got him, smashed him on the ground, smashed my head on the brick.
Yeah.
Split my head open. You see the scar here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought I got stabbed. So then I was like, fuck. And then, arrested him. Yeah. So double leg takedowns.
Double leg takedowns.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay. And so, you know, when it came to starting Gambaru, I'm a little bit curious about, you know, the reasons behind that, you know, why you thought, okay, I'm going to create my own gear and do this sort of stuff. So tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, so it didn't really start off as my brand. I've met the guys through Jiu-Jitsu. Yuli, he trains at the Grappling Lab, so I teach over there. So anyone in the Liverpool area, I'll make sure you drop into the Grappling Lab. Nate runs a very good gym, and he's helped me get into Jiu-Jitsu quite heavily, so big influence. I was just pretty much training every day, teaching, and Yuli's like, hey, we need another guy for Gambaru, and I think you're the perfect match because you pretty much live and breathe Jiu-Jitsu now. And I was like, because I was already repping the brand, I was going to get sponsored by them as an athlete.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? I actually want to be a co-owner as well. Yeah, let's do it. And then Richard at Grappling Education, he pops in here and there, and we had a chat. And it all started from there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we've been open for 2 years now. Didn't really take it too seriously until this year, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like the design of the kits and all that sort of stuff, how do you guys coordinate that? Like, I guess between all of the guys involved in it, like how do you guys split up your responsibilities?
Yeah, so we like come up with design. The boys would draw it up or get the designer to do it, and we just make prototypes of it, and just trial it out, see if we like it. If it turns out good, then based on feedbacks and how many people are interested, we'll basically release it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so that's obviously at Gambaru_kimonos if you're interested in that. Talk to me about teaching. So
I was never really wanted to get into teaching. So I was training at my mate's gym at the Grappling Lab with Nate. So he was my first instructor when I started as a white belt, probably almost 10 years ago now, 9 years ago. Yeah. And he left and focused on his own training, got his black belt, and we basically went separate ways. And I was just bouncing around gyms, trying to train here and there, at least trying to do something every week. And then, found out he's opened a gym, signed up there. I was training for like 2 years there. And I was picking up the techniques really well. I was doing my own studying, and I was just really helping other people and explaining techniques. And he's like, hey, I think you can teach a class. I was like, nah, I just want to train, man. Because that's all I care about, just training, eh?
Yeah.
And then he's like, nah, teach a class. And then, he got me into teaching, and it just came like second nature. Yeah.
And then, so what brought you over to grappling education?
I think when I met Tito.
When you met Tito?
Yeah. So it's quite funny how I met Tito. So I met him when he was probably just got his blue belt when he was a kid. I sold him my pug.
Your pug?
Yeah, I sold him my pug.
Okay,
yeah.
You got to tell me the story.
Yeah.
Go.
Because got a dog, and parents didn't want it, and then had to sell it, and then I posted it on Gumtree or one of the dog sites, and then Tito was like, hey, I'm interested. I didn't know who Tito was back then. I was just like a 3-stripe white belt or something. And then came over to Tito's house, sold him the pug, and then I saw Matt's in his home. And I think I saw like a gi hanging. I was like, hey, you do jiu-jitsu, bro? He's like, yeah, I'm Tito. I was like, okay, I don't know who Tito is.
Shout out to Tito.
Yeah. But yeah, he was up and coming at that time. He was just smashing comps. But yeah, that's how I met Tito. And yeah, he came down to the grappling lab. I think this was probably a year and a half ago, to an open mat or one of the classes, and we're just rolling. He's like, are you the guy that sold me a pug? I was like, are you Tito? He's like, yeah. yeah. And we're just rolling, and I was getting techniques. I was understanding techniques very well, but I didn't know how to really put it together. Or, all the intricate details of setting up a move, or, how to put hand placements, whatever. And Tito's like, hey, I think you're really good, man. You should come train with us at Grappling Education. And yeah, I think at that time I really wanted to get back into competing as well, because I was always competing at least every year, like a few comps each year. Yeah. Just like test myself, see if I'm an actual white belt, actual blue belt. Yeah. So, next week I went down to Grappling Education, I think one of the pro sessions where they were just training outside hours. Yeah. And man, I remember it was just 8-minute rounds, doing positionals, 10-minute rounds. And I felt like I was keeping up, but I was that step behind, I was like, man, I got to really step up my training. Yeah, and I was just addicted. Yeah, and all the boys there would help me out. And just the wealth of knowledge from the guys around you really picks you up. Yeah.
So then, do you find that your coaching style has adjusted as a result of that? Yeah,
definitely. I think I'm more in depth and in detail with concepts and conceptual learning and why we use certain grips, why we do things the way we do, rather than just show a technique, hand here, do this. All right, this is a single leg X. But why are we getting to single leg X? What's the chain? What's the sequences? What attacks are we going for? What controls? Yeah. So it really makes my teaching in depth as well. Yeah.
So, so you're teaching out at the grappling lab.
Yep.
People can find you at Grappling Education as well.
Yep. Every midday I'm there. Yeah.
We've got to talk about the dogs.
The dogs.
Yeah. So did you always have a passion for dogs, or?
Oh yeah, my mum always have dogs in the house. We'll have like 4 or 5 dogs. We have puppies as well, and we usually keep some of the puppies or give it away to our relatives or sell them.
So what kind of dogs did you have growing up?
Oh, just all different types, just like Staffies, Pomeranians, Chihuahuas, just random shit.
Yeah. And where would she get them from? Would she buy them, or like people?
Yeah. My mum would. She loves dogs. She's always taking care of dogs. So she'll go to like the marketplace or something. She'll see a cute dog and she just can't resist it and just buys them. Yeah. And we end up like 4 or 5 dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she'd breed them and then sell them, or was that just like unintentional?
No, that was unintentional. Yeah. If it happens, it happens. But I don't think we knew about desexing or, back then. Asians, man. Yeah.
Well, as long as we weren't eating them, right?
No, we weren't eating them, that's for sure. Yeah. I joke about it a lot, but I do not eat dogs.
So then, what about so you've got quite a few dogs at home now, right?
Yeah, I love dogs more than humans.
Well, yeah. I think I could understand that after being in the police force.
Yeah. I think it's dogs gave me a purpose. Like Yeah, they make you happy. They're never angry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Always happy to see you.
Yeah, always following me around.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I talk to my dogs more than I talk to people outside.
Yeah. Did you ever get to in the police force use dogs or?
Yeah. There's police dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you get to use them or?
No. You got to be in a dog unit.
A dog unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got to specialize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and I'm just thinking about Bjorn here, right? Like he's quite well trained. Yeah. So, did you do all the training yourself, or did you?
Yeah, I did all the training myself. Yeah.
And like, when did you pick up those skills? Like, how did you learn how to?
Just on YouTube, internet, and then there's like apps on your phone now that shows you how to train dogs.
Really?
Yeah. It's easy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize that there's apps for this stuff.
Yeah.
So what do they show you?
Oh, basically how to teach sit, down, stay, obedience, like how to walk on a leash properly.
Mm.
How to make them understand no, how to toilet train them, basically everything. Yeah.
Did you find that when it comes to training dogs, it's kind of like training humans?
I think dogs are easier.
Dogs are easier?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they have a specific goal, so you got to find what they're interested in. So dogs are usually treats or toys.
Mm.
As long as you have a treat and you go through the motion of getting them to sit, and then once they sit, you give them the treat. And they understand that, if I do this action, I get a positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Like I get a treat, I get a pat.
Yeah.
So you just keep doing it like 5 minutes each day. It's not long. It's just 5-10 minutes, and you just keep enforcing the behavior until they get used to it.
Yeah.
But my dog would pick it up probably in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he's a very smart dog. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what about negative reinforcement? Would you have to do any of that with the dogs?
No, I think before they said use negative reinforcement, like put your face near the dog's poop if they poo inside.
Yep.
But apparently that scares them, and they actually disobey you. So right now I'm just reading more about positive reinforcement training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which seems to work. Yeah.
That's an interesting one, right? Because I've had German Shepherds when I was growing up and things like that.
Yep.
And with not this current dog, but the dog before it, when she was a puppy, I found like the best way for them doing their business inside the house was the negative reinforcement route.
Yeah.
But I think it just depends on the dog, right? Like some dogs probably respond better to different things, and
also
depends like what kind of breed.
Yeah, you got to really understand.
Yeah.
Your dog. Yeah.
Yeah, because German Shepherds are they're quite big dogs, right?
Yep.
And so I think you do need to have control of them so that they know that
they're also very smart. So
they learn very quickly.
They learn very quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously accidents happen, but they start picking it up. So yeah. I think Bjorn, it took me like 2 weeks to toilet train him.
Yeah.
As a little small puppy, he was like the size of my hand, and he was toilet trained.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then, so what other dogs you got at home at the moment?
I recently got a French bulldog, which is a rescue.
Yeah.
I pretty much sold my liver, my kidneys, you name it, just for health issues.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I think she was used for breeding, in a past life.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I think she was just used and abused, and no one took care of her vet bills and her health issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got really attached to her. She sleeps with me, follows me everywhere, like pretty much my shadow.
Do they get jealous?
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, so she's the older one, and she usually tells my little one off if he gets too naughty. Yeah, yeah, they're like kids.
Fair enough. All right. Is there anything else we need to talk about? Talked about Gambaru, talked about jits, talked about policing. I guess for you now, you seem like you're in a much better place, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yep. Yeah. I've got things to do. I've got goals. Yeah.
What are some of those goals you want to share any?
Just to really get good at Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. I pretty much hunkered down this year just to like be the best I can be in Jiu Jitsu. You know, not chasing that black belt. I don't care about belts anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, training at grapple education.
No one cares about belts.
Yeah. We do no gi every day, and there's blue belts that are really good.
Yeah. Smashing
fucking upper belts. So
yeah, it just depends on the goals, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I think I was having this conversation with Finn the other day, and I just said like a lot of guys that like they get into jiu-jitsu and girls, they get really into jiu-jitsu and then they burn themselves out.
Yeah.
Because they've just gone in at 120%, but it's unsustainable.
Yeah.
Like to think that you're going to train 2 a days for the your first year,
yeah,
and then you wonder why your body's broken.
Yeah.
Right. But like if you find that balance of, and so the only way I'm a big sort of believer in progressive resistance.
Yep.
Where it's like, okay, and I have this conversation all the time that, you know, quite often the next world champion could be, you know, the weakest kid that you could find.
Yep.
And if you just go and throw them into the deep end straight away, they go, oh, it's too hard for me.
Yeah, they're going to drown. Yeah.
Yeah, they drown, right? Whereas if you gave them progressive resistance and they found it fun, and over time you develop that resilience,
yep,
then, you know, they might have other attributes that wasn't prevalent in terms of like heart or like resilience from the get go. You know, there's some people that are just too tough for their own good. They might be too tough for their own good, but they're dumb as dog shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah. A lot of jiu-jitsu is on like the mental side of things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas you know, the kids who may not be as tough, so to speak, but they maybe they think about things a little bit better, or they have a different perspective in terms of how they want to string things together. Like it's those attributes that can often create a different sort of problem. Like I think the best way I can sort of relate it is like, you know, I think, you know, as an example, like when it comes to singing, people can learn how to sing and like sing in tune.
Yep.
But there's something about somebody with a unique voice, right? That's recognizable. Like when you hear those unique voices, you just go, wow, like what a voice.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody else could sing in tune, but it just doesn't have that same sort of, you know, oomph to it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same thing in jiu-jitsu, right? Like you can teach somebody the moves or the sequences, but it's that personal flair of how they paint that actual, like in a match.
Yep.
That makes it beautiful.
Yep.
And so like it's a personal expression, and so I'm really big on that idea that.
Yeah. I just love the flow of things. You know, it's a beautiful art. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll call it there.
Yep. Thanks,
Get some
Johnny.
training in.
Yeah, that's it. Let's head to the gym.
All right, done. Thanks, everyone.
Let's go.